Next question. ICL is an MNC multinational company is executing a plant in Sri Lanka. It has raised an amount of rupees 400 billion. Half of amount will be required after 6 months time. ICL is looking for an opportunity to invest this amount on April 1st, 2020 for a period of 6 months. It is considering a two underlying proposals, either to make investment in Japan or to make investment in United States of America. We have been provided with the information about the investment opportunity. In Japan, you are going to make investment in index fund, that is in the Japanese yen. You are going to receive the dividend income when you make investment over there. You will receive the income from the stock lending scheme, 11.9276 million. Discount on the initial investment at the end. So the value of the investment will fall down by 2%. Exchange rate on 1st of April, that is the point at which you make investment. Exchange rate on 30th of September when you withdraw the investment. In case of United States of America investment, Treasury bill in dollar currency, rate of interest is 5% per annum. Exchange rate on 1st of April when you make investment is given to us. It is $0.014 per rupee. Exchange rate after 6 months is given to us. You as an investment manager is required to suggest the best course of the option. That is a question. So friends, over here we are required to make the computation that what is the amount that say we will be receiving in both the options, in both the alternatives at the end of the 6 months period. That is what say we are required to compute, and of course the better option is going to be selected. So let us make one by one working. Comparatively the US option is simple, so let us start with the US option. So option number 1, investment in dollar currency. Having some discussion, and then I would like you to do answer on your own. We understand that say on 1st of April, what we will do, we will convert rupees into dollar using the spot exchange rate. Then you will invest in dollar. Rate of interest is provided to us and the time period is also given to us. At the end of the 6 months, we will convert the dollar into rupees, and for that say of course we will enter into the forward contract. You may keep your answer till this point of time, that is whatever the amount of the rupees that you purchase is the final answer. Or otherwise, what you can do, you may deduct the initial sale rupees and you may compute the surplus amount of the rupees. That is the way either you may compare surplus or you may make the comparison of the final amount of the rupees that you have in both the cases. Because ultimately you are required to make a suggestion. So that suggestion can be given in form of surplus, or otherwise the suggestion can be given say in form of the final amount. Either of the way the suggestion can be given. I request all of you to tell me that what is the amount of the surplus. I want you to tell me answer of the surplus. Put your answer in the chat box on 30th of September. So let us calculate the answer. I request all of you to start writing an answer along with me. Working note number 1, calculation of amount of surplus in rupees term comma, available for investment. It is total amount into 50 percentage. The total amount that we have raised is 400 billion rupees. Into 50 percentage. So the amount of the surplus which is available for investment is 200 billion rupees. Now write down heading option number 1. Invest in dollar currency. Everybody is requested to pay attention. Let me give you explanation first of all. We understand that on 1st of April, you will enter into the transaction for sell of rupees and purchase of dollar. We can see that the spot exchange rate is given this 0.014 dollar per rupee. $0.014 per rupee. What amount of the funds that we have? It is 200 billions of rupees. So we will get this amount of the dollar, and that is supposed to be invested. So 200 billion into 0.014. So it is $2.8 billion we will invest. This is what we will do. Sell of rupees and purchase of dollar. Invest $2.8 billion at the rate of 5% for 6 months. So we understand that say at the end of the 6 months, that is on 30th of September, we will have maturity. It is principal plus interest. What is the principal amount? This is the principal amount. $2.8 billion plus $2.8 billion into 5% into 6 divided by 12. 2.8 into 1.025. That is 0.05 into 6 divided by 12. So 2.8 plus 2.5%. So 2.87 billion dollar. This is the maturity amount of deposit. Then on this date itself, you will enter into the contract for sell of dollars and purchase of rupees. You have $2.87 billion. You will get this amount of rupees. So in that case, the dollar or rupee, the forward exchange rate is given to us as 0.013. $0.013 is equal to 1 rupee. You have $2.87 billion, so you will get this amount of rupees. $2.87 billion into 1. That does not make any sense. Divided by 0.013. So 220.7692. Rupees billion. This is what you will have at the end of the 6 months, and then you can compute the surplus. 220.7692 minus 200 billion. So it is 20.7692 billion rupees that you will have as surplus at the end of the 6 months. This is a detailed answer. Wherein you do the conversion, you compute the maturity, again you do conversion, then you subtract the initial investment. Or otherwise, what you can do, understand carefully what I'm going to speak. See, you have an amount of 200 million to be invested. We have been provided with the spot exchange rate as 0.014. So into 0.014. So this is the amount that you have in the dollar currency. Yes. Into 1.025. So this is the maturity amount of deposit that you have in dollar currency. Yes. 0.05 into 60 by 12. This maturity amount of the deposit will be again converted into rupee currency. Yes. So 1 divided by 0.013. Okay. From this maturity amount of the deposit, you can deduct the 200 billion. I'm sorry, not million, billion. So using this one simple equation, you can find answer. Let us check. 200 into 0.014. So 2.8 into 1.025. So 2.87 divided by 0.013. So you get 220.7692 billions of rupees minus 200 billion of rupee. So 20.7692 billion rupee. This is the way we can find the final answer. Shall I done answer? Method number 1. In the write down. The method number 1 is a long method. Transactions on 1st of April. A. Enter in spot transaction for sell of rupees and purchase of dollar. 200 billion of rupees will have this amount of dollar. Dollar rupee, 1 rupee is equal to 0.014 dollar. So how much amount of dollar for 200 billion rupees? $200 billion into 0.014 divided by 1. So $2.8 billion. So that is the amount of investment. So B, write down. Invest $2.8 billion at the rate of 5% for 6 months. C. Enter in forward contract for conversion of dollar into rupees. After 6 months, working note number 1. Calculation of maturity amount of deposit. Principal plus interest $2.8 billion plus $2.8 billion into 5% into 6 divided by 12. $0.05 into 6 divided by 12. $2.87 billion next is conversion of dollar into rupees. Dollar or rupee. At the end of the 6 months, the exchange rate is $0.013 is equal to 1 rupee. $2.87 billion is equal to this amount of rupees. So 2.87 divided by 0.013, 220.7692. So this is the amount of the rupees that you will have. Okay. Next, net gain. 220.7692 minus 200 million rupees. 20.7692 million rupees. This is the way the net gain is calculated, or otherwise you may just keep 220.7692. That is also acceptable. Now if at all you want to do this answer with other method number 2, in that amount of investment, first of all in rupees term, into exchange rate conversion in dollar term, plus interest, that is finding the maturity amount of deposit, into 1 divided by spot exchange rate after 6 months. This is what we have to do. So conversion of that is again in the rupees term. So 200 billion of rupees into 0.014 into 1.025. That is 0.05 into 6 divided by 12. Whatever the answer that we have, into 1 divided by 0.013. So 200 into 0.014, so 2.8 billion into 1.025 divided by 0.013. So 220.7692 billion of rupees. So surplus is 220.7692 minus 200. 20.7692 billion rupee. That is the answer. The first option is very simple. The important is the second option only. The investment in Japanese yen. I give you some explanation over here. See over here the information is provided to us is that say you have made investment say in the index fund. You are going to receive the dividend income. Then value of the investment will be 2% less than the price at which you had made investment. Spot exchange rate is given to us and the forward exchange rate is given to us. Like that, so the information is given to us. Now the important point of this second option is the income from stock lending is provided to us. It is 11.9276 billion. Now what do we understand? Just giving a small explanation for this. This is basically covered in detail when we do our very simple chapter derivative, but yet at this point of time I am giving some explanation to you. Suppose I am holding equity shares of the Reliance company. Somebody has entered into the transaction for selling of the Reliance company shares without holding it. Let us say that he is expecting the price of the security to go down. So he has entered into, technically it is given a name as short position in the cash market. Now, if at all that investor is required to give delivery of the shares, why? Because he wants to hold his short position, let us say for 1 week. So he wants to say square off, like he is required to give delivery of the security by the time he squares off his transaction. What he is required to do? He is required to borrow stock from the market from somebody. In a way that say that trader is required to approach somebody who is having such shares of the Reliance company. I will give my shares to him and say this kind of lending of the security is given a name as the stock lending scheme. The question is providing the information that if at all you make investment over here in the stock market, then during this time period you will lend your stocks to somebody and you will be able to earn some amount of the income. So this is similar to say a kind of dividend income that you receive because you are having long position on the cash market. Long position on the cash market means you are holding shares. Since you are holding the shares, you will be able to receive the dividend income, and apart from that, so you will be able to receive this kind of additional income that is given a name as the stock lending scheme. So over here in this option, what we will do, friends, first of all we will make the computation that what is the amount of the investment that say we are going to make. We have been provided with the information about the exchange rate. Let me explain you first of all. Option number 2. Do not write anything. Let me explain you. Invest in Japanese yen. What will happen? Spot exchange rate is provided to us as yen per rupee as 1.58. What amount of the rupees that you have? 200 billion rupees. So you will make investment in 316 billion yen. This is the amount of the investment that you will make. That is the first thing. Second thing that we understand is that at the end of the 6 months, its price will fall down by 2%. So it is 316 minus 2%. This is the amount that you will get. Plus, being holder of the security, you are able to receive the dividend income of 25 billion yen. Plus, with the stock holding, that is stock lending scheme, you are able to earn 11.9276 billion yen. So 316 minus 2% plus 25 plus 11.9276. So 346.6076. This is the amount of the billion yen that you will receive when at the end of the 6 months. We have been provided with the exchange rate after 6 months as 1.57. So what will happen? Yen and rupee. 1.57 yen is equal to 1 rupee. So this amount of yen, 346.6076, is equal to this amount of rupees. So the answer comes to 220.76917. This amount of the rupees actually you are going to receive. In comparison to the surplus of 200, you receive 20.76. We can keep it to 90. This is the amount of the rupees that you will receive. That is this amount of the surplus. Friends, just a clarification, just a point that I want to tell you is that very similar to this, a question was asked in November 18 examination, and this question that we are solving right now has been asked in November 20 examination. Should I write an answer? Option number 2. In that, working note number 1, calculation of amount of investment in yen currency. Spot exchange rate is 1.58 yen per rupee. So this amount of yen for 200 billion of rupee. $316 billion rupee. So billion yen. Working note number 2, calculation of net amount available with Indian company after 6 months. It is investment minus 2% because it is a discount plus dividend income plus income from stock lending okay. So it is 316 billion yen minus 2% because its price reduces by 2% plus dividend income is 25 billion plus 11.9276. So 309.68 plus 25 plus 11.9276. $346.6076 million of yen. Perky note number 3. Conversion of yen into rupees. Yen rupee. 1.57 yen is equal to 1 rupee. So 346.6076. Billion of yen is equal to this amount of rupees. $346.6076 into 1, that does not make a sense, divided by 1.57. So 220.7692. Billion rupees. So again we will have surplus. That is amount received after 6 months minus investment. $220.7692 minus 200. It is billion rupee. 20.7692 billion rupee. With paragraph write down. Stock lending scheme is a scheme in which trader having short position in cash market will borrow security comma to cover short position, full stop. For borrowing of stock comma certain charges are required to be paid to lender of stock or security. Friends, in derivative we are going to cover too much in detail, so I am not dictating a detailed one, that is not over here. Now coming to the final decision, because we are required to give a decision. In the first alternative we have 20.7692, and in the second alternative also it is 20.7692. So over here we can say that of course the US market investment which is provided to us in the example is a treasury bill investment, wherein you don't have a risk. You are having say 100% certainty of the US government for the amount that you have invested. In comparison to that, say over here in Japan, you are making investment in the stock market, so of course there is an element of risk. Basically, you have raised the funds for the purpose of doing some business, and it is only that this is an MNC. We are going to take up a project in that is say Sri Lanka. We have raised the entire amount because it may be that say later on issuing the remaining amount is very expensive, the flotation cost would be very high. That is the reason. So since you want to do genuinely business, so for you the safety is more important rather than getting some risky return, because your intention is to get the return from the project that you are going to undertake. So here, in between the stock market and the treasury bill, of course we will select the treasury bill investment. Why? Because over there, so there is no risk. The US government itself will provide a security for this investment. Please write down answer. Based on investment options provided, comma, we can conclude that investment should be made in United States Treasury bill. Full stop. It has zero risk. In comparison to that, stock market investment of Japan has risk. Full stop. Hence, investment should be made in US Treasury bill. This is the way we are required to write the answer. Summarizing the entire answer, the first simple working note for calculating the amount for which the investment is to be made. Just make sure that you are not committing a silly mistake of making investment of 400 billion rupees. The first option is that you invest in the dollar currency. You want to park your excess funds for a time period of 6 months. So the first option that we understand is the dollar currency investment, in which if at all you invest this amount of the dollar that you will get, when you invest, this is the maturity, again it is converted into rupee, this is the amount that you are going to receive. So in comparison to the investment that you had made initially, this is the gain. Okay, instead of that, you can make investment in the Japanese yen. If you invest in the Japanese yen currency, then in that case, the information is given that you are going to make investment in the stock market. So first of all, over here, using the spot exchange rate, you calculate the amount of investment. Then this value of the investment is falling down by 2%. Of course, you receive the dividend income and the stock lending scheme, which is an important point of this question, connecting the forex with derivative. There are a number of other connection points as well. So over here, this is the amount of the rupees that you have on conversion of the yen into rupees. From that, initial investment is deducted to find the surplus. Coincidentally, we find that the surplus is same for both the options. So we have selected the risk-free investment opportunity, that is treasury bill in this example. That is the way we are required to give the final answer.